Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi Golhar. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast. I'm excited to be here today. We have a really awesome show lined up for you, as we always do on a very regular basis. So you want to make sure that you are constantly tuned in. Go to thinkrealty.com/podcast. You can listen and watch the previous episodes of the podcast as well. Today's show, a lineup for you. We got Zach Evanish, who's the Director of Client Services at Roofstock. We're talking about Roofstock. We're talking about Roofstock Exclusive, Roofstock Select, why sell through Roofstock, some of these important questions that you need to know as somebody that has single-family rentals, whether it's a few or a portfolio, and why choose roofstock.com as your main vehicle and a main platform to post your properties and sell them. We're also talking about the surprising data sources that you're probably overlooking in your multifamily analysis. So I can't wait to start digging into maybe some of these 6 or 7 data points that you need to pay attention to. I'm excited to start the show. First and foremost, you know what I got to do. The podcast is brought to you by Nevada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Visit www.turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com. Let's go to Zach. My good friend Zach Evanish from Roofstock. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Pumped to be on today.
Awesome. So let's get to talking. Give us a little background on who you are and your role with Roofstock and what you do.
Yeah, so my title is Director of Client Advisory Services, and my team and I are, tasked with building up both supply and demand on our retail marketplace. And, today I wanted to talk about supply and how we are, creating a marketplace where supply is so important and providing quality curated investment properties for buyers.
So let's talk about the supply. I've been on roofstock.com many times. I'm on Roofstock probably like twice a week, like looking for property. And I know this about roofstock.com, but maybe some of the viewers, maybe some of the listeners, they just don't know what kind of supply, what kind of inventory is on roofstock.com.
Yeah, it's a question we get a lot is, where do these homes come from? Who are the sellers? Why are they selling? And we really have two product types on the marketplace. We have Roofstock Exclusive, and that are, loose listings that are exclusive to Roofstock. So an individual who may own 2 rental properties, accidental landlord, or, we work with big funds that own thousands of homes. So if you have an investment property that's tenant occupied that you're looking to sell, traditionally that's very difficult to sell, through normal means, MLS, Zillow, et cetera, because the buyer pool are looking to move into that property. They're looking to do open houses and showings and things like that. And Roofstock takes that property, which is a cash flowing rental, and markets it to a nationwide pool of investors. We also only charge the seller 2.5% versus the 5 or 6% they would pay. And they keep the tenant in place, so they're getting the cash flow throughout the sale. So we have the Roofstock Exclusive. And then recently, we started with a program called Roofstock Select. Okay. And this is where we are curating properties from the MLS and some other sources and finding, through data science and AI and technology, what we deem to be some of the best potential investment properties. And, these can be occupied or vacant.
So you said data science, AI, and technology, and I'm a huge, so I cannot wait for the day that AI starts to take over the real estate world, because I know then real estate. Yeah, I mean, totally. Then it's going to be Terminator all over again, right? And then I'm going to walk into a house that I want to buy, and there's going to be a bot, some type of robot that's going to be giving me a guided tour of this freaking place, right? It's going to be awesome. Are you before I have more questions for you here, but are you scared of AI in real estate? Or are you embracing it? Are you one of those you've got a tattoo of artificial intelligence and you live long and prosper kind of people? Help me understand your gauge on
I haven't inserted the chip yet, into my arm, but I'm full on. Yeah, like you said, I love it. I love the idea of, in the right places, kind of replacing, humans with technology and AI for some tasks that I think can be automated. There was an article out recently, I think it may be in the journal, but it was just talking about how AI and data is starting to replace appraisals, right? Which you and I have talked about before, but
Yep.
automated valuations and kind of where those are headed. So I think that's a case where we're starting to see AI and technology really solve a problem of valuing properties. And for us, that's really valuable because now we're able to value a property, which hopefully a lender has confidence in without getting inside and bugging that tenant.
Right. So I appreciate the thoughts on that because it's interesting to hear where the future of AI and like what your overall thoughts are from somebody that's so close to it every single day. So I certainly appreciate that. So Roofstock is one platform. You have, like, why sell through Roofstock, right? Like, why not eBay, Amazon, other wholesalers, potential turnkey? Like, there's so many other options, right? Like, why should I narrow down and just look at Roofstock, for example, as my primary kind of go-to place to sell my portfolio?
Yeah. So, I mean, for instance, if you have a portfolio, right, you're looking for an exit at the highest price. So you're looking for maximum exposure. If you own a portfolio, what Roofstock can do is we can sell that both as a portfolio through our portfolio section, market it to 1031 buyers, institutions, some of the mid-sized funds, as well as sell those properties off individually. You know, if you have a 100-home portfolio, pretty tough to find a buyer who wants to buy all 100 homes. Or if they do, they maybe want it at a significant discount. But if you can sell 82 of those properties to one buyer, we can help you dispose of the other 18 individually through our marketplace. And we can do so in a way which would allow you to sell them all at one time and do an exchange. So I think people are looking for likelihood of sale. They're obviously looking for maximum exposure and highest net proceeds, which I think we can do through our model, which allows you to sell both portfolios as well as individual properties.
So if I have a portfolio, say, of 5 or 6 or 7, or even a larger portfolio, right, of 15 or 20 or 30, what's the process like of uploading that portfolio to Roofstock? Do I have to like throw everything on a spreadsheet and upload it manually, or do I send it to somebody on your team and they can do that for me? Or do you have like I don't know, like some type of Alexa, inbuilt Roofstock Alexa that like does everything for me?
Yeah, not quite there yet, but I
Okay.
like that vision. So you would go onto our site, you know, our seller services page,
Okay.
and you'd just enter in the addresses. We then match that data with, you know, CoreLogic data to confirm the address, and then we're going to pull in all the information about that property, and you know, within 2 or 3 minutes, give you a valuation for that property, both from a sales comparison approach and an income approach, and give you some feedback if that property is a good fit for Roofstock. You know, if that's a property that you bought for 400,000 and now it's worth 700,000, maybe it's better to sell that through an owner-occupied market, you know, when the tenants moved out. But we'll give you that information because we're looking to, you know, help you exit at the highest possible dollar amount.
Question for you. Can I also use this as like a market analysis tool? Like if I was looking at acquiring a property, punching in an address and getting some of this data? Because as an individual investor, I'm sure, I mean, many individual investors out there don't have access to CoreLogic. It's really expensive. And then to manipulate that API and then to port that data in somewhere into, you know, a Roofstock owned AI system. Like I don't have that, right? Like I'm just a guy that wants to buy my single family rentals and just buy the stuff long term and like get some cash flow. Is there a way that I can use your search, I guess, your platform as a market analysis tool?
Yes. So it's called Roofstock Cloud House, and it's really set up for that exact problem. So you can go onto Roofstock Cloud House, enter in any address in the country, and see it through the investor lens. So people are using that for a variety of reasons. One, they're looking at buying a property, renovating that, and thinking, okay, what could I potentially sell that as a turnkey property through Roofstock? Or I already own a property and I want to see what it's valued at. So you put that address, you know, into Roofstock Cloud House. We're then going to match it up with, you know, CoreLogic data, put a valuation on there, put the rents. You can see our neighborhood rating, and you can see the the gross yield and cap rate for that property to get a good feel if either it's a good buy or, hey, here's the property or price Roofstock would sell it for.
What's the overall cost in selling, say, a property, one or multiple, on the Roofstock.com platform? Is it like crazy expensive? What should I be expecting?
Yeah, it's 2.5%.
Okay.
For someone who owns 5 or fewer properties.
2.5%.
And then we have kind of bulk pricing for people who are selling additional properties.
Okay.
We've started to have groups that are starting to build businesses selling through Roofstock. Turnkey providers who, we've curated and built relationships with, who are starting to build businesses through Roofstock because, our buyers really like their product and we feel good about the quality of the home they're providing, the diligence they're doing on the tenants.
So how are people doing that, right? Because that seems like a very just kind of natural exit strategy for folks that are in the, say, property management game, if you're a new property manager, or even if you're just a guy like me, right? Like you just want to buy some property, hold on to it. You might see some appreciation over the next year or 2 or 3. And you might capitalize at, say, 2.5% or 3%, or if you just don't care about appreciation, fine, you're seeing that income. How can I build a business around your platform?
Yeah, so if you're someone who is, has a full-time job and is just buying rentals for their cash flow, we can help you analyze those properties and determine, is it the right time to sell? What is your return on equity right now? Your cash flow versus, selling in other markets. We have investors who have owned rental properties in, say, Austin or Nashville and seen really strong price appreciation. They've seen strong rent growth, but not at the same rate as the price appreciation. And so their return on their actual equity in that home is now lower. And they're exchanging into places like, Birmingham and Huntsville and seeing a 2 or 3x return on their cash flow or increase in their cash flow.
Wow.
So we can help them coordinate that full exchange, selling that occupied property and exchanging into 2 or 3 others.
The market is very, very interesting. I was just kind of looking at a couple of articles online as you're answering that question, and I feel like local markets around the U.S. are changing, obviously. Here in Atlanta, it's been really hot for a while, and I'm suggesting that people take a look at secondary markets. With the analysis, with your CoreLogic plug, with the analysis that you all do on a regular basis, what changes are you seeing, and how's Roofstock adapting to those changes?
Yeah, great question. Something we talk about, if not daily, then weekly, on where the market is headed and how we can help both buyers and sellers, reduce their risk and make, educated decisions. I think you nailed it on the head. If you're a cash flow investor and you have the ability to purchase in kind of tertiary markets, I think that's a great strategy. One, that's where the cash flow is. 2, some of the bigger funds are not going to be in those markets. It just doesn't make sense for them due to their size. Plus 3, Atlanta is a great example. People have, to some extent been priced out some of the areas.
Yeah.
But if you could now buy a home in Macon or Columbus, Georgia, and get higher cash flow right now, you may see maybe not the, crazy appreciation core Atlanta's seen, but it may outpace Atlanta over the next couple of years, where you're also getting that cash flow. But I would also say if you do have a long-term, horizon, there's a lot to still like about the Nashvilles, Atlantas, Birminghams of the world as well.
How long of a market outlook should I have in Atlanta, for example? Should it be, if I'm looking at, let me start with this foundation. If I'm buying to hold, I'm looking at long-term anyway. Like, that's just me personally. I'd be looking at 25, 30 years. But let's say I'm not looking that long-term. How long of a term should I be looking at, say, as a Nashville or an Atlanta or like a Dallas, for example?
Yeah, I think right now, because where we are, kind of in the evolution of this market, which has been strong for a long time right now, I'd say if you're, unless you have like you said, a 5, 10, 15-year time horizon, and what your goals are obviously going to have a high influence on this decision.
Yeah.
If you're a per cash flow investor, and a shorter time horizon, it probably makes more sense to look towards, Milwaukee, Cleveland, places like that. So I would say if your time horizon, tough to put a exact year on it, but I'd say anything under 5 years and your cash flow focused, places like Atlanta and Nashville are probably not the best option right now.
Makes sense. Zach, I've learned a lot more about Roofstock than I had ever learned. I learned about the Roofstock Exclusive, Roofstock Select, how people are building businesses through Roofstock. I'm going to build a business around Roofstock. That just makes sense to me. So thank you so much for investing some of your time with me today and kind of sharing some of that value with my audience. I think it's certainly appreciate that, and it's been really helpful to kind of see things the way that you see things.
Excellent. Yeah, happy to help, and appreciate your time. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, Zach, Z-A-C-H, @roofstock.com. Happy to talk about buying, selling, the market, whatever it might be.
Awesome. Zach, thanks so much. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks a lot, Abhi.
Yep, you got it. Think Realty Nation. Email Zach, Zach@roofstock.com. And then, of course, check out the platform on www.roofstock.com. I promise you, it's that easy of a website. I need to get better at creating domain names. I have such a hard time every single time coming up with a good name. Yeah, these Roofstock people, they know. They are good at branding. This next segment is brought to you by Real Property Management, which is the largest residential property management franchise in North America, managing tens of thousands of properties for individuals, investors, and institutions around the country. Learn more at realpropertymgt.com. You can also call them at 888-806-7088. We're talking about the 6 surprising data sources that you might be overlooking in your multifamily analysis. And I was looking at this. This is a Forbes article written by Guy Sapori, who's the co-founder and CEO at Skyline AI. And I never really thought, so I thought to look at maybe a couple of these, but there was one or maybe two that I just didn't really take a look at. Service calls. I did not think to look at service calls. Quote, you could do far worse than to examine publicly available service call data. Service complaints about issues like utilities issues or road debris can provide a telling view not only into a neighborhood's standards of infrastructure maintenance as a whole, but also the most common issues facing a neighborhood. Never thought of that really, quite frankly, but I think it's such a brilliant idea. Number 2, health food stores. That's kind of self-explanatory, kind of like a duh moment, but it makes sense, right? Quote, a property's distance from the nearest high-end grocer also tells us a great deal about its likely value. That's kind of self-explanatory. This one I did not expect. Street trees. That's right, trees. That tree-lined streets are more appealing to residents should come as no surprise. But do they actually really tell us much about the desirability and overall value of an area? I mean, I think people want to be closer to nature. And that's what Guy suggests in this article and in this paragraph, which I completely agree with. A tree-lined street is, quote, an indicator of an oasis that gives residents some much-needed nature within a gritty environment and suggests a well-maintained neighborhood. Here are the next 2 asset names. If you name your multifamily apartment complex like a villa or a residence, you'll probably get more value than you would if you just named it a community. Get my drift? It's all about the branding, just like the Roofstock guys. I mean, the guys and gals over there. They have the name figured out. Flight and taxi statistics. I kind of figured this one as well. Simple flight databases you can find online. Quote, flight stats can be correlated with other data sets, such as visitor demographics and current real estate trends in the area they're coming from. Local taxi activity is also an illustrative indicator of an area's vibrancy. So when you're looking at multifamily, heck, even if you look at single family, these types of indicators may just help influence a buying or not buying decision. If you want to get in touch with me, go to thinkrealty.com. Have questions again for Roofstock and Zach at roofstock.com. And that's the show. but it couldn't be made possible. It is made possible. It could not be made possible. Is that the right way of saying it? Probably is. I think so. Looking at Ron over there. It is made possible by our sponsor for the show, Nevada Real Estate Investments. Check them out, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Visit www.turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com. Think Realty Nation, I'd like to have it. I'd like to keep it nice, cool, casual, fun. Get in touch. Go to thinkrealty.com. Until next time, happy investing.